world has come closer to nuclear winter than ever before. There will be even more nuclear-armed countries, and the United States is personally giving the green light to this.
Saudi Arabia is an important partner of the United States in the Middle East.
Saudi Arabia may soon acquire its own nuclear weapons, and the United States is ready to share arms with them. Some time ago, the White House sent a 3-page report to Congress in which it called for the exchange of sensitive nuclear technologies with the Saudis. They explain this by saying that it supposedly serves U.S. security interests and at the same time gives Washington more control over the kingdom's nuclear program. But these are only plans which are still far from being realized. All the more so since Trump has sharply changed his rhetoric about the Saudi Arabian prince. At first, the U.S. president called him a warrior, but now he almost refers to him as a vassal of the American guarantor.
He didn't think this would ever actually happen. He never thought he'd have to kiss my ass. He really didn't think so. He thought I would be just another failed American president while the country was heading straight into a dark abyss. But now he has no choice but to be nice to me. Tell him he had better continue to be nice to me. He needs to be kind.
But the looming threat of nuclear winter isn't just about new players, it's also about a massive global nuclear hysteria. Who else wanted to get their hands on nuclear weapons? How will the balance of power shift and evolve in the East and in Europe? And why did this start happening right at this moment? We'll tell you all about this and much more in just a moment. Nuclear hysteria didn't come out of nowhere. Speaking of the Middle East, it was the war with Iran that became the catalyst. Tehran has long wanted to have its own nuclear arsenal. In fact, that's why the war began. The State of Israel wanted to eliminate the threat. More than a few dozen missiles have already been launched at Iran's nuclear facilities. But no matter how much Iran is attacked, no matter how many times Trump talks about destroying all targets, the risk remains. Tehran may still be in possession of active nuclear weapons.
Iran has at least 3 distinct lineages of missiles, which it continuously modifies and scales in a variety of ways. They increase or decrease their range, change the specific warhead configurations, and in general, ramp up the total number of missiles. Israeli experts have estimated the current number of missiles at approximately 2,000 units across 10 various different types.
That is precisely why Middle Eastern countries want to be ready to restore the balance of power if Iran does achieve its goal. Riyadh has long warned that if Iran acquires nuclear weapons, the kingdom will follow its example. The United States probably just wants to keep this under control. But the Saudis are not the only ones thinking about joining the nuclear club. Ankara is considering it as well. And it's not a new idea. Back in early February, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan stated that they do not want to disrupt the fragile balance of power in the region. But Ankara will be forced to join the regional nuclear race if Iran continues moving toward developing nuclear weapons.
We do not want to disrupt the balance in the region, which is already vulnerable. But if that inevitably comes to pass, we will probably be unavoidably compelled to join that same competitive race.
Ukraine has also been talking about such forced measures for a long time. We are at war with a nuclear country, Russia, so Kiev simply must have its own trump card in reserve. And as everyone knows, it did have one, but the Budapest Memorandum promised protection. Ukraine believed in it and is now at war with one of those who promised that very protection. That is why Kiev is once again raising the issue of nuclear weapons. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, stated that security guarantees for our country must include the transfer of nuclear weapons to it.
There is a common belief that Ukraine will not win this war because the Russian Federation is a major nuclear power. So, tell me, what do you think? What specific types of security guarantees should Ukraine have? NATO? Nuclear weapons? Well, then we really need someone to say it directly. We will give you NATO membership and we will give you nuclear weapons. But so far, no one has raised this issue.
At the same time, Ukraine doesn't need someone else's weapons. It would be enough to return Ukrainian nuclear weapons.
Let's admit that Budapest was a flawed deal, where we were deceived. Give us our weapons back. Okay, you don't have to return all of it. Even a tenth would do. Return a tenth of the nuclear arsenal we once had, and that would be more than France has.
Speaking of France, that country hasn't escaped nuclear hysteria either. Paris is planning to update the country's nuclear doctrine. And despite the fact that France has the fourth largest nuclear arsenal in the world, estimated at 290 warheads, Emmanuel Macron announced an increase in the number of nuclear warheads. In addition, they will stop publishing detailed information about their stockpiles.
The next 50 years will be the era of nuclear weapons. We must further strengthen our nuclear deterrence capability in the face of numerous emerging threats and meticulously devise a strategy for the European continent, while strictly upholding our sovereignty.
Moreover, France will allow the temporary deployment of its aircraft equipped with nuclear weapons in allied countries. According to Macron, negotiations on this are underway with the United Kingdom, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Belgium, Greece, Sweden, and Denmark. But the decision to use French atomic bombs will be made solely by official Paris. At the beginning of March, Poland also began talking about its own nuclear weapons. Prime Minister Donald Tusk stated that his country will seek to acquire nuclear weapons. All of this is because Europe has begun to doubt the United States' commitment to defending the continent. That is why Europeans are ready to take matters into their own hands.
Poland takes nuclear security very seriously. As our autonomous capabilities grow, we will strive to prepare Poland for the most independent actions possible in this area. In the future,
And even though everyone has perfectly valid reasons to acquire nuclear weapons, this does not change the fact that the risk of nuclear war is relentlessly increasing. In January, the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists moved the doomsday clock to 85 seconds before midnight. This is the most dangerous indicator in all of history. Among the reasons cited were strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, ambitious plans to develop and implement the Iron Dome system, as well as the official expiration and termination of the last arms control treaty between the US and Russia. And all of this happened before several additional nations announced their intentions. And what do you think? Is nuclear war near? Really share your thoughts in the comments below. And please don't forget to like this video. And be sure to subscribe to our Arsenal channel so you don't miss out on all the most interesting content.